Hello, spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of Storytime with the Scariest Podcast.
Woo!
I'm Robin Grace. This is Adam Diaz.
Hello.
And today we are here to read you folks some homegrown horror. Adam, why don't you enlighten us with what those are?
Homegrown horrors are the stories you wonderful listeners and viewers have sent to us. They can be paranormal, supernatural, spiritual, creepy, coincidental, sometimes true crime, or sometimes extraterrestrial in nature. Robin, if someone had a story like that and they're like, man, I want to share it with them, how can they do so?
You can send it to us via email, storytimeatscariest.com. You can also go to our website, which happens to be scariest.com. There's a contact us page on there. You can fill out all those fun details, and it gets emailed to us that way. We also have a bunch of different social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We actually got a Twitter story today, right?
We actually got it like a month ago.
Oh.
We just didn't notice it. So
we had a message?
Yeah, it wasn't actually a message. They added us.
Oh.
And someone cleared the notification. Don't know who. And so it never got sent our way, but that's okay because we're checking them daily now. No big deal. And it's the first one we've ever had added to us because it was like in screenshot format. So they wrote it out in like a Word file, then they screenshotted their screen, and they attached it in a picture, and they sent it to us on Twitter. So threw us off a little bit, but you can send it however you are most
Twitter,
comfortable.
Obviously.
So yeah, if you have a story, we would love to hear it. The stories we're going to be reading tonight have come from listeners like you. We're actually going to be reading 3 because one of them is very long. We're going to split it in half. So Robin's going to go first. Then I'm going to read the first half of the long one, then commercials. Then Robin's going to read the second half of the long one, and then I will finish us off. So that sounded weird, but yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. So Robin is going to be going first. So I guess take it away.
All right. So this first email subject is kind of followed ?
Interesting.
I definitely have that fear sometimes, like we discussed last episode or last story time, where it was like cars following you and trying to take the ways around it so they don't follow you home.
Zigzagging, so they fuck off.
All right, so it begins. Hey, friends and foes.
That's
all
weird.
Right.
It's a weird way to start.
It is a very weird way to start. It's Vivian, and this story is about me and my friend possibly being followed on a walk. So let's get into it. Me and my friend, we'll call her Jenny, were walking in Jenny's neighborhood in late November, early December. Jenny lives in a rather wealthy neighborhood that's definitely considered a good neighborhood. We were just talking, having a good time, and on our way back to Jenny's house, when I saw a figure in my peripheral. I casually looked behind me to see some guy in black pants, a black blazer, black shoes, sunglasses, and a black fedora.
A black fedora?
It just seems...
That's the most dangerous of all the clothing, is the black fedora.
That's just... I don't think people wear those normally, you know?
Fedoras?
Yeah.
I've only known one person to wear a fedora, and he was totally a drug dealer. So.
I think I owned one at one point. I might have owned a fedora myself at one point. But it's just something that, like, unless you have a themed dinner party or something like that, you know, you don't really wear it.
Is the theme dressed like a boner?
No. But
I've just not seen a lot of people wear fedoras like for realsies.
Have a gangster, like old school mobster themed dinner party.
I mean, the guy we knew used to come into a store of mine, and we called him the Fedora Warrior. So, not sure if he was going for that nickname.
Bringing him back.
But yeah, that's what he got for it. So yeah, the fedora definitely is like triggered.
All right. So, along with some splash of color near his breast pocket, I didn't have my glasses, so I couldn't really tell what it was. He was about 7 feet behind us, and after 30 seconds of trying to pretend like he wasn't there, I tried to speed up my pace and place some distance between us, but I wasn't sure if Jenny knew he was there, and I didn't want to leave her behind. I'm guessing she caught on because she started walking with me at a faster pace, but so did the guy behind us. Kind of creepy. Maintaining the 7-foot distance, and if anything, he got even closer. He followed us while we crossed streets, turned corners, and all the while, me and Jenny were trying to make casual conversation as if we weren't convinced we were about to be kidnapped. I considered trying to pretend like I was taking a selfie to sneak a photo of him, or do this thing I saw in a TikTok where you press the power button on your phone 5 times quickly and it automatically calls the police.
Why wouldn't you just call the police?
Yeah. Or make an empty threat like, oops, almost dropped my pepper spray, but eventually, finally, after what felt like 2 hours, but was more like 15 minutes, he turned a corner. Maybe it was a coincidence, maybe he just had a really tragic fashion sense, or maybe he realized that it's a terrible idea to sneaky snatch 2 kids in a decent neighborhood in broad daylight. But either way, there was an audible sigh of relief released by the both of us when he turned that corner. And Jenny asked, okay, you saw that guy following us too, right? The walk from the park we had come from back to Jenny's house was about 45 minutes, so God knows how long he had been there before I noticed. We spent the rest of the walk joking about what we would have done if he had actually done something. Jenny even mentioned that she considered taking the longer, more populated route to her house so he would be seen by more people and he wouldn't know where she lives. We also talked about the technique to use if you only have a pocket knife to defend yourself and giggled about the fact that you would have to aim for the Achilles tendon on the ankle to really do any damage.
There's a lot of places you can stab someone that's not the Achilles.
Like, you could literally stab them in the jugular, even if it's a pocket knife, just shank them, you know? Like,
you could stab them in the thigh and twist. You could stab them in the dick. That also would work. You could basically stab someone anywhere. And they're going to be like, did I just get stabbed?
Because a pocket knife is like that long, right?
I mean, it just depends. I have a pocket knife that's like Robin's holding up about an inch.
I'm thinking like Swiss Army knife.
Swiss Army knife is definitely different than a pocket knife because it's multifunctional, whereas a pocket knife is just a knife. It's not a knife. This is a knife. Yeah. My pocket knife is usually like 2 inches, you know?
Yeah, don't fuck with us because we have a big old knife in the car.
All I'm saying is like, it's one of those terrifying situations where you're like, what would I do? I don't think the best avenue for assaulting someone who would be trying to kidnap you is be like, go for the Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to like lay down on the ground and like hold their foot, like stay still, fucker. That's some just straight up Pet Cemetery shit right there.
All right. So all in all, we made it back to our house safe and sound. We had snacks. We bonded through hypothetical drama. Anyways, that's my story about how we were maybe possibly almost kidnapped / followed home. It was scary to say the least, but luckily nothing actually happened. Hope you're having a great day, and remember, you are loved. Stay sweet, stay safe, and stay scary-ish. Bye.
Thank you for sending that in.
Yeah, thanks for sending that in. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do if you only had XYZ item, you know?
Right.
But it's definitely smart that you're like trying to take a selfie and trying to, you know what I mean?
I think this is where the my favorite murder phrase comes in of fuck politeness.
Yeah.
Like rounding on him and being like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you following us? Doesn't hurt, especially if you're loud about it and it's in a crowded area. I wouldn't be afraid at all to turn around and take a picture of someone. And just be like, I'm going to upload this to Facebook and be like, this fucking creepy guy is following us right now.
That would definitely make him be like, well, I guess I'm gonna go away, you know?
I'm gonna stop wearing this fedora, I guess. I don't know. It's a terrifying reality of the day the times we live in.
Yeah.
That, I don't know, just about every woman I've ever met has a story of all the different things that they have to think through their head just to go on a normal walk. Like how you should hold your keys in your hand so that they basically form a rudimentary brass knuckles or things like that.
Yeah, put your keys in between your knuckles and
Or things like you have to yell fire because no one will come if you're yelling help because of how fucked up our society is, you know? And it's just one of those horrible things to think about, but I'm happy that everything worked out, and it definitely doesn't hurt to go through and strategize a little bit on the different things you could do to protect yourself. I always recommend stuff like pepper spray or a taser. I've gotten Robin a taser before. She doesn't carry it.
I don't even know where it is. Oh, no, you know what? It's in the Subaru.
But it's something that it looks like a ring, but it's like something you can hold in your hand so that if someone tries to grab you, they can't tell that you're like holding one. But you can just touch them and it'll zap the shit out of them. She didn't want to carry it at first when we got it, so I was like, oh, check it out. And it's so fucking powerful.
It's just scary.
It's scary. So if you accidentally zap yourself, it'll definitely hurt. But I do think measures taken to protect yourself are always warranted, and people suck, especially men. So, and fedoras. Nah, I'm just kidding. Some people out there wearing fedoras are probably good people. But anyways, thank you for sending that in. All right, so I'm going to move into my first email of the show. And this email is going to be split into, like I mentioned, so I'll do the first half. Robin will do the second half. And it starts out like this. The subject is, you can read on the pod, -shadow person, -ghost walker. Starts out like this. Hello.
Dash. There's probably other things in there that haven't been put in the title yet.
Starts out like this. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
I thought you were going to join me in that, but
I was waiting for you to start saying hello.
Uh-huh. Long-time listener, first-time writer, Adam's going to be so upset. I've been listening. Why? Just because it's your first time? I'm so happy you wrote in. I've been listening since almost the beginning of Scary-ish time and finally decided to write in. First and foremost, thank you to Spooky Mama for editing this, and insert all the nice things about Adam/Robin plus podcast. Me, big fan. Adam's my fave. Robin's cool, but had to have a fave. Wow. Pronouns they/them. My name is Glow. So I don't think anyone's ever proclaimed a favorite between the two of us in their email before, so you would be the first. But I think we can all agree that Robin is pretty much 96% of our following's favorite. So I don't really think you need to worry.
Thank you. That's really sweet of you to say.
Well, that, and on top of the fact that every time we do a live show, everyone always comments like, Robin, you look so good. Robin, you're beautiful. And then everyone's like, Adam, you look okay too. Nice shirt.
You got them luscious lips.
All right, I'll get back to it. It continues on. I'll start with the basics. When I was growing up, my twin sister and I shared a room until we were 18, and I moved out. As many parents with twins do, there's rules you follow, where one sleeps and what colors one wears, so you can always tell who's who. That's hilarious. My sister's bed was always by the window, and mine was next to the closet. And even though this was how it always was, it terrified me, and I wasn't even sure why.
That's definitely a fear for me about having twins, because I really, really want twins. She
just wants a single pregnancy and the multiple kids.
But the fear that you'll mix them up. That, you know what I mean? So
I think for them, it's a fun game to play where you see, if they're identical, that is, like whether or not you can trick people. Yeah. Where it's just like, do you know which one I am? It's like, I'll fucking mark one of you so honestly, I never forget.
You call yourself our mother.
It's so funny. The email continues. I would ask her to trade beds and she never wanted to, or sometimes I would crawl into bed and sleep with her, which eventually always led to her being mad and pushing me out because I had my own bed. The first house I really remember living in, our room was small and my bed was directly next to the closet. Later, in middle school, we moved to a different state and into a bigger house. Being tween twins, my parents... Twins? My parents gave us the biggest room to share, so we had more space to our individual selves. In this house, the closet was a whole dresser and some more space in between from my bed, but the closet still weirded me out. Not as much as I was getting older, but that's when I actually realized I was sleepwalking. Oh shit. I'd said that. That's
okay, I was going to say, is that in the email?
I kept waking up on the couch and my mom would be really upset because I had my own bed and a much bigger room than before. It was also brought up, I used to sleepwalk out of my previous bed too to my parents' room. My parents would ask me why I had such a hard time sleeping in my own bed and I never had a real answer. I was so scared of the closet. It was so normal for me that I didn't even realize how scared I was of it. And when I was in high school, I started to remember dreams that had always been there, but was dreaming more consistently as I got older. That there was a dark figure in my closet watching me sleep, which would bother me. So I would get up and calmly walk to the couch and sleep much better. Didn't really tell or talk to anyone about it because it was so common, I thought everyone experienced this. Or maybe it was so common in my life that I forgot about it. I'm not sure. When I moved out at 18, I moved into the dorms at college, and as much as I was ready for my own room, we couldn't afford it, so I had a roommate in my room. And 2 other roommates across the quote-unquote dorm. I put dorm in quotations because Chicago dorms are more like actual apartments. In our room, our beds, I've seen a lot of places that are like actual apartments. I've seen them look like barracks or jail cells.
I got an email today from UNLV, and they're like, we're thinking of offering these apartments. The 2-bedroom apartment near campus is $2,400 a month.
Get the fuck out of here. Like, whoever thought of that pricing structure, get up and get the fuck out wherever you are because you're an idiot.
Yeah, a studio was like $1,200. I was like, are you kidding me?
Fuck right off, seriously.
What student in there ever?
Who the fuck has that money?
No one. No one has, I mean, especially a student going to school, trying to go to college, and you're going to charge them $2,400 a month.
Get up, get the fuck out right now.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
All right. Continuing. They're in college. They actually had a dorm that looked more like an apartment, which is nice to hear. In our room, our beds were on either side of the wall, parallel, and my bed was closest to the door. My roommate would tell me that they woke up in the middle of the night to seeing a dark figure at the foot of my bed. Never having told them my previous experiences, this kind of spooked me. And sometimes she said it was standing between our beds. My girlfriend at the time would sleep over in the dorms too, and they woke up occasionally from night terrors of people standing over us while we slept in my dorm bed.
That's creepy.
Yeah. Again, I had not told them or my roommate about what I grew up experiencing. I told them both they were dreaming and kept shrugging it off. So at this point, you're trying to control it by telling other people they're crazy and trying to not give it power, which, as I like to point out, in Paranormal Activity 2, didn't work. All right.
Which one's Paranormal Activity 2?
The one with the kitchen exploding.
Okay, gotcha.
Cool. My roommates on the other side of the apartment would complain about either of us walking at night, from our bedroom door to the living room and back. The loops would get shorter and shorter. In the second semester, my roommate whispered, "Are you awake? Do you hear that?" And I had heard it too. I had been hearing it, but I was trying to keep everyone calm by telling them it wasn't real. The walking happened often, and it would loop. Then, when it was done looping, it would wiggle the doorknob trying to get in. What the fuck?
I would be so terrified.
Yeah.
I don't think I mean, I would want to get out of there so fast. Just
I mean, it's obviously following them. It's been following them since childhood. So if I was the roommate, I'd be like, "It's been nice knowing you. You're a lovely person. Have fun with your demon.
Time to
I'm
bathe
leaving."
in some holy water.
That's hilarious. Backtracking a little, I was one of 5 people only in my dorms during winter break. I don't get along with my family. We'll say identity issues, and I was definitely the only one on my floor. I heard the walking and the doorknob wiggling, so the whole winter break I slept in the living room with the TV on, so if I needed to, I could run out the front door.
My sister used to do that. She used to just sleep in the living room with the TV on. Back then, there wasn't a bunch of streaming services like there are now, so she would be watching like TV shows on DVD. And once you finish the DVD, it just goes back to the main menu
and makes all the sounds.
The main menu just plays the song over and over and over again. So multiple times I've come downstairs and it's just been the theme song for Will and Grace playing over and over and over again. And sometimes that's comforting and that helps you sleep. So I totally understand you wanting to just put the TV on.
I can't sleep with noise or light. It drives me crazy. Not so much now that I'm a little bit older. I can tolerate it, but when I was a kid, man, not only did every light need to be off and everything needed to be dark, put aluminum foil over my windows to make sure no light came in.
Crazy.
And any light on any of the electronics in my room would be covered up with electrical tape so that it wouldn't shine. I wanted my room to basically be a cave.
Are you nuts?
It's like I wanted to sleep in total darkness.
Oh my God.
I slept so
well. Were you
well.
just like, "Hello, darkness, my old
Pretty
friend"?
much, yeah. All right, I'm going to keep going. One day while I was showering, I had a really bad anxiety attack out of nowhere for no reason. When I got out of the shower, my front door to my room was open. Not all the way because they're weighted so they close behind you, but the lock was turned out so it wouldn't let the door close. I looked around the apartment, I looked around the hallway, and found nothing. I was scared. I locked myself in my door, and later, I think the next day when I calmed down, asked security downstairs about anyone being on my floor. They confirmed I had been the only one and they hadn't seen anyone on the cameras walking around. You've got to contact security as soon as that potential break-in happens.
Yeah.
Like, I get freaking out about it, but don't freak out and stay calm, or don't freak out and stay quiet, I should say. Freak out and be like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yeah. You just got to get out of there. Just got to get out of there.
I didn't tell them about my door. After that, I had my girlfriend pick me up and we went to Grand Rapids where they lived until break was over because fuck that shit.
Yeah, 100.
Yeah. Hey, that's your fucking catchphrase now, but yeah, 100. I would do the same thing. So, all right. Halfway point, we're going to say to be continued, and we're going to listen to the rest of that after the commercial break.
Cool.
All right. So as most of you wonderful folks know out there, we do Manscaped plug here once a week now. It's pretty fun stuff. We're a big fan of Manscaped. I say we, but it's kind of me. Robin does it too.
I do have. Okay, so they offer this thing like ball wipes, all right?
They're literally called ball wipes.
They're literally called ball wipes. And I have a bunch of them in my bag because you can use them for whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just keep your junk clean.
They're nether region wipes. They smell really nice. That said, I just wanted to share this. So because of COVID, because things are crazy, I've been working from home. And I've always been a guy, and Robin and I have argued about this. I shower every day. Robin's an every other day kind of person because of like hair care and scalp care and stuff like that. And like I've heard that from a million different people. I've always been an everyday kind of guy. But recently because of COVID, I've become like an every 2 or 3 day kind of guy. And my body for 35 years has adjusted to taking a shower every day. So it's like, 48 hours without a shower? You gonna smell now, dog? And so sometimes I'll be doing stuff. I'm like, I smell awful. And I'll just bring it up to her. We'll be sitting around and be like, I smell awful right now. And the only thing that makes me feel better is if Robin replies, so do I. That said, Manscaped is releasing a new cologne, and I'm really excited they're going to send it for free so I can smell what this smells like. So rather than taking a shower like an adult, I can just mask my scent with something that smells nice. Or, shower and then put it on afterwards. Not a big cologne guy, but I am excited for this one, mainly because it's free. And also because I like all the other shit Manscaped has done, so why not this? So if you have someone in your life that smells, or if you yourself smell and you don't like showering, head over to manscaped.com. Check out the products they have there. If any of that works for you, you can use code SCARYISH at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. Look good, smell good, feel good with Manscaped. And if you're ready, come and get it. Na 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 na.
Na 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 na.
So before we move into our next story, we are going to take a really quick commercial break.
Welcome back to the other side of the commercial break. And we're going to finish this other half of the story. And it's going to change tone because I'm the one reading it. So, it continues. Back to second semester, my roommate and I thought it would be a fun idea to turn our beds into bunk beds. Don't worry, the dorm beds are made so you can stack them safely.
I was going to say, this sounds like Step Brothers, and that did not turn out too well in that movie.
And my roommate chose the bottom bunk while I chose the top. She even put up a cute little curtain so she had more privacy down there because, you know.
Because you need privacy sometimes when you're in a bunk bed.
Once or twice, she woke up nervously asking me, "Do you see that?" There was someone or something, a dark figure, standing in our room. Far by the door the first time and the second time right in front of our bunk beds. I told her to close her eyes and ignore it. It wasn't until the end of the semester that I told her and my other roommates, "I'm sorry, I'm the one who's haunted."
I like how you guys are about to like not be roommates potentially. You're like, okay, just so you guys know. Now that you've dealt with all this, it was my fault.
But coming from a Mexican family, we know a bit about spirituality and not to give those things energy or let them know we're scared or else they feed on it. Moving forward, I now am living in my first actual apartment again. My roommates complained about someone walking around in the apartment doing loops, thinking it was me when it wasn't because I would wake up hearing them too. I moved into a different apartment with different roommates. They complained about the same thing and so on and so forth.
Jesus.
Fuck, dude. Oh my god. I can't imagine having something following me.
And constantly making noise while you're trying to sleep.
One time I was watching a movie with my friend in my bed, as you do when you're a poor college kid with no TV and laptops only, and also trying to give your roommates space. My bedroom door was slightly open, and out of nowhere we heard the sound of a hand sliding up the wall. The lights were turned off, but the light switch was still up. He asked me what happened, and I was really scared, and I told him, "We're going to close the laptop, stop the movie now. And we are going to go to sleep. You in my bed. We won't talk about this again."
Wow.
So it's like, something's going on. Just turn this off. We're going to shut this. I know this is weird, but you're going to have to sleep with me. And not like that. And then
never talk about this incident.
It. That's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. He demanded answers and was very scared as we were facing the door and could see the light switch was up. We both heard the sliding sound. The lights were off and we saw no hand and no one on the other side of the cracked door. We woke up the next morning to the lights on. I told my roommate he's an asshole for doing that prank. It really scared us. He had no idea what we were talking about, but he too knew about the footsteps and heard them. He even heard them when I would sleep in his room because I was scared. Fun fact, besides the walking and the walking up to seeing figures, sometimes I'm abruptly woken up to someone whispering in my ear. How do you... Oh my fuck. How do you live? Like, oh my god. I would be terrified. I would live every day in constant fear.
I have a lot of questions and I'm going to save them for the end.
It's not inside my head. It's physically on my ear. And I have chills, dude. It's different voices saying different things, but that's for another time. Fast forward a few more years, I'd just broken up with a different girlfriend that I was living with and had nowhere to go. My best friend lived in a little house south side of Chicago. It was a little house, 2 rooms upstairs, and a tiny living room and kitchen. Her spare room was a storage room. We talked about moving in officially together, so I slept on the pull-out couch downstairs for the summer. My back hurts just remembering it.
That's funny.
On her stairs, there was a motion sensor light, so if she were to get up in the middle of the night, she wouldn't have to turn the lights on, so she could safely walk down the steps. They were ridiculously steep and a drunkly problem for us. So if you were drunk and you're trying to climb them, it was a goddamn nightmare.
Right.
Well, while I was sleeping on the pull-out couch that summer, I would wake up to the light turning on its own. I brought it up. We tried experiments. It wasn't the curtains or light motion that activated it. It had to be human-like motion. We even tested it with the pet rabbit. Didn't turn it on. Wow. So even
I feel like a pet rabbit really should turn it on, though.
Yes, but that according to the story, it didn't. So that was spooky. And again, I tried to ignore it. One night, my best friend woke up to the sound of her doorknob wiggling, and she called out half asleep, come in, it's unlocked. I said it's unlocked. Getting mad that I wasn't coming in, but kept trying to open the door, she eventually got pissed, got out of bed, and slammed the door open. What is it? To her surprise, no one was there, just an empty hallway illuminated by a window at the end of the tiny hall. She told me the next morning, and we both decided to sage the house.
I was going to say, have you tried saging? That was one of my questions.
Nothing that extreme happened again, but the light in the stairway kept turning on. I told her about my past and my past roommates, etc. We tried to debunk it, but I told her let's just ignore it and not feed it more energy. Anywho, I'm 31 now, living alone. Insert a few more apartments between living with my best friend and living alone. Insert a few more of the same stories about roommates hearing walking, etc. When I first moved in alone, I heard the pacing from the living room to the door, then the door handle rattling. My friend and I had just come back from being out all night and we crashed in my bed. He wakes up and jumps out ready to fight someone, and I, in my half-sleep, told him, calm down, it's just the ghost, go back to sleep.
Oh, wow.
Where he's like, what the fuck, dude? Just saw that there was no one and came back to bed. Later, we heard the doorknob noise, but he said, that's mice. Oh, God. I cannot handle that. It's terrifying. Sure enough, a few days later, we had an exterminator because the apartment on the first floor had a nest of mice that got in somehow. And it was so bad being on the third floor, they were in my ceiling. After that, I haven't heard the walking or the doorknob, although I do still wake up feeling someone in the room. I have millions of more stories. This was just one category. Hope it all makes sense and hope it spooks some of y'all. And if I'm allowed to give some unsolicited advice to the younger listeners, normalize pronouns, platonic friendships, loving with your whole heart, and doing what's right for you despite what your family or friends say. There's a community out there for everyone, and life's not worth not being able to be 100% you. Okay, bye. Thank you and love you, Glow.
Thank you for sending that.
Thank you. And I totally believe in that, too. Y'all should just do you.
Yeah. Do good things.
Yeah.
Be good people. Normalize being good people. Thank you for sending that. Totally terrifying with a wonderful message at the end of it. And what I was going to say is, like, have you done any preventative steps to try and keep this sort of activity from happening, like saging the house? Like, just growing up and having a Puerto Rican grandfather, I can tell you, just going into his bedroom, there were so many candles with the Virgin Mary and Jesus Christ on them, and they were just everywhere. And I'm not sure if they were specifically there to drive away evil spirits or anything like that. I think that's just part of the culture, but I just know that if there was something going on, there's always steps that people tend to take. And that was just a really long time. It seemed like you dealt with it where you're just like, oh, it is what it is. I sleepwalk sometimes. There's a lot of times where I hear whispering in my ear. Everyone around me also sees this shadow figure that stands over the bed or hears it walking around in the hallway. And that is terrifying. So, here's hoping that you've figured out a way at least to sort of calm the activity a little bit. And, thank you for sharing that story with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and move into the final story of the show. And this one's subject is the Westbury Manor. I tried to say it like Robin. The Westbury Manor.
What do you, why do I read like that? What do you mean?
Because you say bury, and I say Barry for Barry. B-U-R-Y. Anyways.
Isn't that how you say that word?
I say Barry, not
But
Bury.
it's not Westbury, it's Westbury.
Westbury. All right, I'm going to go ahead and read it. Starts out like this. Hello there, spooky friends. Hello there. And all the spooky friends, wherever you're at, yell hello there, and yell it once extra because Robin didn't say it. Today I'm going to be retelling one of my mother's experiences with the paranormal. She tends to feel and see spirits, but not all the time.
I'm going to say, before we get into the rest of the story, totally ask your parents and your grandparents and different family members for their weird paranormal stories, because
they have them.
They have them.
And they're going to blow your fucking mind.
Yeah, they'll blow. And it's a cool chance for you to sit down and talk to people you wouldn't normally.
A little bit of bonding.
Yeah, bonding time.
Okay, it continues. This is one of the weirdest cases of her seeing a spirit. For context, this takes place a few years back at the Westbury Manor in New York. The Westbury Manor is a Victorian mansion that was turned into a restaurant and a place that holds celebrations, gatherings, and so on. But not currently due to the pandemic. This happened a couple years before the virus struck. My mother frequently goes there with her friends for nights out. While sitting in one of the restaurant booths, my mother watched as a motherly figure holding hands with a little boy walked by.
It's a ghost. It's a ghost.
Her hair was finger waved, and she wore a fancy dress while the little boy wore suspenders. The woman smiled and waved at my mother, and she waved back.
The finger wave is like the old school, like, Like that character in Haunting at Hill House who, God, shut up. The one who talks.
I'm finger waving right now. The only way I know.
The one who talks about the screaming Mimis. You know how her hair was?
Oh,
It's
okay.
like that.
Gotcha. So she waved back. Her friends, knowing of my mother's abilities, stopped giggling about God knows what and started to freak out. The waiter, noticing the shocked expressions of my mother's friends, rushed over and asked what happened. My mother began to describe the woman and the little boy. The waiter's face turned pale and he rushed upstairs, returning with a photograph of a family.
Oh my lord!
My mother pointed at the image and claimed that the woman and the little boy in the photo were identical to who she saw.
Shut up.
The waiter's eyes widened. He said that it was impossible that my mother had viewed the photo before because it was on the desk in his boss's office. The spirits my mother saw were the residents of the manor back in the late 1800s.
Wow.
The waiter said that they roamed the restaurant and basement. Other workers report the doors and cabinets opening by themselves. Despite the spirits seeming friendly, I'm still freaked out by that place. Thank you.
I would be too.
For your time.
Like, that's
yeah, that
scary.
is creepy, but it's kind of nice that they were like benevolent. You know, they walked by, they waved, they were jovial. They weren't mean. They weren't fucking stuff up. You got to think that if they think they're still alive, that's the reason doors and cabinets open, because like they're just going about their like daily routine or their chores or something like that. Like Haunting of Hill House season 2 or Haunting of Bly Manor, where it's like they sort of like relive the same moments and like jump from spot to spot to spot.
Yeah.
So who really knows? But I think that's super cool that your friends were just like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
I wonder if they saw it or if they just saw your mom wave and got super freaked out. So who knows? But thank you for sending that story. If you have more or your mother has more, we would absolutely like to hear them. So good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for sticking with us this episode and getting to this point. And if you have, kudos to you. We appreciate you. I don't know what Adam says at this part. Usually he's
I was
the one
like,
that does
Robin's
this.
stealing my outro. This
Yeah.
is weird. I just want to thank everyone who sent in their stories tonight. We sincerely appreciate it. As Robin said earlier, ask your elders or older brothers and sisters that don't consider themselves that eld for their stories. They probably have a lot of good stories to tell you, and we would love to hear them. And if you have a story you would like to share with us, email storytime@scarish.com or go to our website, scarish.com, and click on Contact Us. Fill out that form. It comes directly to us. You can also go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/scarishpodcast. Twitter is @scarishpod and Instagram is @scarishpodcast. Whatever works for you. If you would like to communicate to us, that is us that you're talking to. So we would love to hear it, and we will save your story for the show. Robin, for folks who would like to donate to us, how can they do so?
You can go to patreon.com/scarishpodcast. Those are monthly donations. Tiers start at $1, and at $1 you get ad-free episodes, which is great. And then physical merch stuff starts at $10, which is still pretty darn great. So if you want to sign up, head on over patreon.com/scarishpodcast. If you're not into the whole monthly donation thing, you can also go to ko-fi.com/scarishpodcast. Those are one-time donations, and all your donations go to helping us upgrade our studio setup and keep us making this stuff.
Indeed. So thank you so much to everyone who listened, everyone who donates, everyone who follows, to everyone. In fact, we love you all. So Robin, go ahead and sign us out.
Keep on creeping on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.